I expected when my 7-year-old daughter Emma came home from school in tears was to find her medical helmet missing. Emma was born with craniosynostosis, a condition that required multiple surgeries. Her custom-fitted helmet protects her fragile skull as she heals. But yesterday, it wasn't in her cubby. The school said it had been confiscated. By who? Karen, the HOA president, said it was an eyesore. That helmet was saving her life. It started 2 months ago when my husband and I moved into the quiet Willow Heights community, hoping for a fresh start after Emma's last surgery. We picked a house just 2 blocks from her new school. We knew the area had an HOA, but we didn't think much of it. We were wrong. Karen lived 3 doors down. She introduced herself on day one, smiling like a politician, but her eyes scanned our house like a hawk. "I hope you keep the lawn tidy," she said flatly, before noticing Emma's helmet. "What's that?" she asked. "My daughter wears it to protect her skull. She just had cranial surgery," I explained. Karen blinked. "Well, that might not fit the aesthetic here." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. 2 weeks later, we got a letter from the HOA citing us for unapproved outdoor medical equipment. I thought it was a mistake. We weren't even storing the helmet outside. It was always with Emma or in her cubby at school. The harassment ramped up fast. Karen took photos of Emma playing in the yard and sent them to the HOA board. She complained that Emma's helmet had unapproved graphics. It had sparkly unicorn stickers Emma had picked after her surgery, her reward for being brave. I contacted the HOA. No response. Then the school principal called. Emma's helmet was gone, removed due to a neighborhood complaint. I drove straight to the school. Emma sat alone in the nurse's office, tears rolling down her face. "She told me I wasn't allowed to wear it," Emma whispered. "She said it was scaring other children." Karen had walked into the school that morning, claiming to be part of the neighborhood safety committee. She showed some printed flyer and convinced a substitute nurse that Emma's helmet was violating a community ordinance. I saw. Read. I filed a police report for theft. I confronted the school board. And then I made my biggest move yet. I called a friend from college, Elena, who now worked for the U.S. Department of Education Civil Rights Division. She was furious. Within 24 hours, she escalated the case. Karen had no idea what was coming. That night, we got another notice taped to our door, this time threatening fines if Emma was seen wearing the helmet in public spaces without medical documentation. My husband stared at it and said they just violated federal disability laws. We spent the entire weekend gathering documentation, medical letters, surgical records, the prescription for the helmet, and every single note and photo Karen had left or sent. Monday morning, the tide turned. A sharply dressed man knocked on Karen's door at 9:14 a.m. It wasn't a mailman. It was a federal judge's assistant, delivering a cease and desist order and a court summons. Karen stood frozen on her porch in her slippers, holding a cup of coffee, as the man explained she was now under investigation for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. Meanwhile, I got a call from Elena. "She's going to regret messing with your daughter," she said. And she was right, because what happened next made Karen's smug little HOA world unravel like thread. The news spread like wildfire. By noon, every neighbor in Willow Heights had seen Karen on her porch, arms folded, face pale, as the federal court assistant walked away. Within hours, the HOA board received an official notice from the U.S. Department of Education. They were under a federal disability investigation. The local news picked up the story by that evening. But Karen? She wasn't done yet. At 6 p.m., she knocked on our door. I opened it, stunned to see her holding a small cardboard box, Emma's helmet inside, covered in dust and scuff marks. She didn't apologize. She just said, "Thought you'd want this back before things get messy." I didn't say a word. I took the box and shut the door. Emma was overjoyed to have her helmet back, but we noticed something. One of the straps had been cut and poorly taped. Karen had tampered with it. That was the final straw. Elena's team had already compiled enough evidence to file an ADA lawsuit. And thanks to Karen's printed flyers, her recorded conversation with a substitute nurse, and those ridiculous HOA fines she kept taping to our door, the case was airtight. Karen had crossed the line from petty HOA nonsense into outright criminal behavior. 3 days later, the school hosted a town hall meeting. It was standing room only. Elena flew in from D.C. to speak. She stood at the podium and laid out everything Karen had done, calling it one of the most blatant cases of ADA discrimination against a minor that we've seen this year. People gasped. A few parents even stood up and shouted in anger. They had no idea Emma's helmet was medical or that Karen had manipulated a school employee to take it. Then a woman raised her hand. "She told us your daughter was wearing a weaponized helmet," the woman said, "that it had been banned by other schools." My heart dropped. Karen had spread lies, and people believed them. But the tide had turned. The crowd was no longer with her. The school issued an apology to Emma during the meeting. The nurse who removed the helmet was suspended, and the principal committed to ADA training for all staff. As for Karen, she was removed from the HOA board in a unanimous vote within 48 hours. But it didn't stop there. A civil judge ruled in our favor. Karen was fined $35,000 in damages for ADA violations and defamation. Part of that money went into a trust fund for Emma's future medical care. The HOA had to publicly amend their rules to include disability protections, and the Department of Education placed Willow Heights on a compliance watch list for 2 years. Karen? She sold her house 3 months later and moved. Some say she still tries to join other HOAs. But the news clips and lawsuit filings follow her like a shadow. She's internet famous now for all the wrong reasons. Emma? She's thriving. Her latest scan showed incredible healing progress. She still wears her helmet, now with even more unicorn stickers. And me? I've joined the school board and started volunteering with a national advocacy group for parents of children with craniofacial conditions. Because no one, especially a power-hungry HOA tyrant, will ever threaten my daughter again. If stories like this hit your heart and keep you hooked, make sure to subscribe for more real HOA battles we drop every day. Click the bell icon so you never miss another explosive story.